When my grandfather Takeshi found me storing 1,000 empty yogurt containers in the kitchen in Kyoto in 1990, he did not say a word. He simply served bancha tea in porcelain with small kintsugi cracks and whispered, "Naomi-chan, there is a difference between being wise with money and being a slave to your own insecurity." It took me years to understand that financial minimalism is not deprivation. It is freedom. Today, when 78.5% of American families are in debt, I need to say something that might be uncomfortable. Part of this debt comes from poorly done economy, not from lack of economy. It comes from habits that seem sensible, but are financial sabotage disguised as virtue. If you are here watching this video, it is because you have reached that point where you know that poorly done domestic economy is not virtue. It is anxiety disguised as planning. Therefore, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like if you are also tired of confusing being economical with being miserable. 1. The myth of hunting lost pennies. Driving 40 minutes to save $3 at the market is not economy. It is poorly paid work. I met a client who did this religiously for 2 years. The result? She spent more than 130 hours, almost an entire week of life, and a fortune in fuel to save $312. But the most tragic part? She left home at 6 in the morning to reach the cheap supermarket and missed breakfast with her teenage daughter every Saturday. With 40% of Americans buying in smaller sizes to dodge high prices, I understand the pressure. But when saving pennies costs precious hours and important relationships, we become slaves to our own pettiness. The minimalist attitude would be simple. Choose 2 markets close to home. Know well the prices of the 20 things you buy most, and alternate according to the convenience of the day. Not the obsession. Time is the only resource that cannot be renewed. 2. The phantom sale syndrome. Buying only because it is on sale is not economy. It is consumerism with discount. In the United States, 52% of people make impulse purchases, and sales are the favorite playground of this impulsivity. It was 2008, the year of the crisis, when I lost everything: apartment, investments, the identity as successful. During those difficult months, I received a visit from a friend who arrived with 5 bags of clothes that she could not resist because they were 70% cheaper. She spent $800 on pieces that originally cost $2,400, therefore saved $1,600. But the naked truth? She spent $800 she did not have on clothes she did not need to impress people who did not even care. Emotional impulse governs these decisions. Neuroscience proves, when we see a promotion, the brain's reward center fires like in a bet, and we lose the ability to evaluate if we really need that thing. The minimalist habit. Before any purchase, even on sale, I ask if that thing replaces something I already have, or if it meets a real need. If you spend $5 on something you do not need, you spent $5 too much. 3. The illusion of infinite bulk products. Buying in large quantities can be sensible, but it can also be the most expensive path to waste. I witnessed this during my volunteer work after the 2011 tsunami. Families who had lost everything received enormous donations of food that ended up expiring because they could not consume everything in time. In the United States, I see this constantly. A client bought 10 kilograms of beans because it was cheaper at wholesale. Result? The weevils arrived, she lost half, and had to buy beans again. The economy became double loss: the wasted money and the stress of cleaning the infested pantry. The elegance is in buying in sufficient quantity for a realistic period of consumption. I maintained for years a pantry with only 25 to 27 essential items. Each one has its purpose, its seasonality respected. 4. Self-punishment disguised as economy. Consumers are concerned about family budget and limited purchasing power, but there is a thin line between being financially conscious and punishing yourself. I saw an acquaintance spend 3 years without buying any new clothes, using faded and ill-fitting pieces to save money. The result? She lost an important promotion because, in the boss's words, she did not look like someone prepared to represent the company in meetings with clients. Economy that compromises future opportunities is not economy. It is sabotage. Minimalism teaches, invest in the essential with quality. I prefer to have 6 well-cut blouses that make me feel confident to 20 cheap blouses that diminish me. 5. The obsession with impossible repairs. Learning some basic home repairs is a valuable skill, but trying to fix everything can be more expensive than replacing. Once, I spent an entire afternoon trying to save $50 from repairing a toaster. Result, it caught fire 3 days later, almost set the kitchen on fire, and I had to buy a new one that cost 5 times more than the original repair. The minimalist principle here is clarity about your competencies. I know how to change light bulbs, unclog sinks, and plant herbs in the balcony garden, but I leave complex electricity and plumbing to professionals. It is a choice of self-care, not laziness. 6. The paranoia of hidden subscriptions. Auditing subscriptions regularly makes sense, but not every subscription you use little is money thrown away. During the pandemic, I kept the closed gym for 8 months, paying monthly fees because I knew that, without that financial obligation, I would completely lose motivation when it reopened. McKinsey research shows that 45% of Americans punish themselves financially, cutting even basic necessities. But punishing yourself is not planning. It is self-flagellation with spreadsheet. The minimalist insight. Differentiate expenses that maintain important structures in your life from purely consumerist expenses. Keeping a streaming account that I use twice a month can be worth it if those 2 times are moments of necessary decompression. The method I practice for years teaches this. Categorize before cutting. Survival, culture, leisure, and extras. A subscription can be in the culture category, and culture is not superfluous when it feeds your soul. 7. Pettiness disguised as sustainability. I cannot waste became the excuse to keep everything. Olive jars becoming eternal cups, plastic bags reproducing in the laundry room closet, piles of newspapers that can be useful. This is not environmental consciousness. It is compulsive accumulation with good intention. The reality is cruel. 94% of Americans feel the effects of climate change, but only 47% buy truly sustainable products. The rest uses sustainability as an excuse to not discard anything, creating more problem than solution. During my return from Japan in 1992, I brought only 2 suitcases. I learned that true sustainability is in not creating the need for disposal, not in finding forced utilities for everything that enters the house. The method taught me that keeping for keeping is fear disguised as virtue. My grandmother Akiko had 6 porcelain cups, each one with meaning. Not 30 promotional mugs, because they can be useful. Quality, not quantity, always. The difference between foolish economy and financial elegance. Foolish economy is driving 1 hour to save $5. Financial elegance is planning purchases to not need to leave the house 3 times a week. Foolish economy is keeping yogurt containers that will never be used. Financial elegance is buying a small set of glass containers with bamboo lids that last decades. Foolish economy is depriving yourself of what brings quality to life out of fear of spending. Financial elegance is differentiating what is investment in well-being from what is disguised consumerism. Financial minimalism is a concept that is based on the idea of simplifying the way we deal with money in order to reduce unnecessary expenses and prioritize what really adds value to life. Well-used money does not buy happiness, but it buys freedom. Freedom to choose, to say no, to have time, to not need to accept anything out of financial desperation. When I understood this, at 35 years old, my life changed completely. I stopped saving pennies to focus on earning and managing dollars well. Result? More time with my son Kenji, more peace in financial decisions, and, curiously, more money saved than when I lived obsessed with every discount. If this video resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and leave a like, especially if you desire to cultivate a life with more lightness, sophistication, and intention. Learning about minimalism, elegance and good living in an accessible, serene, and inspiring way. What I learned after decades making financial mistakes boils down to this: save with purpose. If you liked this reflection, leave in the comments which of these habits you most recognized in your life. See you in the next video.